Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Listen, I'm on cloud nine, right? It feels like we're in cloud nine.
We're in the clouds. This is beautiful.
Yes.
This space is, I might have to come back here at some point and have a cup of tea.
There we go. Well, listen, we were talking all about being surrounded by mirrors.
Yes.
Let's talk about the mirror ball of it all. Let's talk about Dancing with the Stars. Obviously, as we'll get into, you are a man with a packed schedule.
Yes.
So when it ends up, getting around to be that time in September, where you're going to be back doing these live shows, do you sort of have your own training regiment, like any of the pros that are making their way onto the show proper?
I wouldn't say I have a training regimen in terms of for the hosting, right? The hosting is, there's a couple of things that I have to do to really prepare for the show, which is get my teleprompter reading back to speed.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you haven't done it in a little bit, sometimes it's like there's a very strange thing to read a teleprompter where your eyes are ahead of your mouth, right? So I might be 4 words ahead of what I'm saying. So you've got to train your eyes to stay moving, right, while you're speaking at a different rate.
Yeah.
You got to literally practice it. So one of the things that I'll do is, and this isn't necessarily teleprompter work, but being able to read and talk is I'll just be driving in my car and I'll read out loud billboards. Right? So just randomly speaking billboards as you see it, so that you get used to that thing, right? And then this season I'm doing something a little different, which is I've actually started taking ballroom classes, personal classes. So I'm not in a big class, but I started taking with a couple of the professionals that teach our professionals. And I felt like it's really important to, well, I like to say level up, right? They're doing their work, right? I feel it's really important that everybody on the show who, whether it, Julianne already knows it, right? But Derek knows it. The other judges, we should all be taking ballroom classes so that when we're on stage and we see things, we're not just seeing it because we've heard someone say what it's supposed to be, but we actually know the feeling inside and what it takes to do the move the right way, right? And so for me this season, I want to be able to ad-lib when I see something that a celebrity does right, that I can actually comment on it and give them some love based on I saw your shoulder there, I saw those heel leads, I saw on those pivots you were on your toe, I saw, okay, little things that really help let everybody know that we all kind of know what we're talking about. And it's the words are written, but it's the in between the words where the show really lives. And I think you just have to train. You've got to level up as much as you can before the show starts, so that they know, the audience knows.
Well, let's rewind back to taking ballroom lessons over a decade ago. Arguably a moment that leveled up your life.
Yes, no question.
So going back to season 19, I'm curious, had you been asked for prior seasons? And if so, what was your reaction to signing on specifically for that one?
I had never been asked. I had been asking to do the show. I wanted to do the show probably from season 2 on, right? When I saw the first season with Kelly Monaco winning, and then eventually John O'Hurley winning, which was just weird.
That was the whole rematch.
Whatever that was. But at least in terms of, from season 2 on, I wanted to do the show. And back then, it was more like, if you had ever danced or if anyone knew of you dancing, they kind of said no. Right? And so I kept getting well, you're a professional. And I was like, a professional at what? Right? I'm a professional, mimicker. I'm a professional, just know how to move. But I've never taken classes, so I don't know what I'm doing. And so every season I would be like, I want to do it. I met Dina Katz on season 2 and asked every year, and then finally got that phone call from Dina in August of season 19, and I was like an immediate yes. I knew I wanted to do the show. I wanted to be a part of this family. I was kind of always on the outside of the family. I knew a lot of the dancers and celebrities that have done the show and friends with a lot of them, but never really, part of the family. And so I feel like I was absolutely blessed to get that opportunity to do the show. And then, essentially getting teamed up with Whitney Carson was incredible, in its own right, because we just had a magic that you can't quantify, right? Like, how did that work? How did that come together? Dina Katz is absolutely amazing at figuring out who would be best with who, and somehow she figured a little 20-year-old and this 42-year-old come together would be the right mix.
So obviously, having known the show, when you end up getting the call for season 19, did you consult with any alumni, being like, because again, you had a sense in terms of what to expect, but did anyone give you any specific advice?
I didn't need to. I had been around the show so much at that point. I knew the show sometimes better than the pros. Like, I am a guy who reads the rules.
Yeah.
Front to back. I knew every week. I came up with strategies. I had an idea of how I was going to handle week to week based on the week and what was coming. And, I specifically did the Carlton Dance on week 4 because that was the exact week to have the greatest impact. And most people were like, they wanted it week 1.
Right,
and then some
or the
people
finale,
were like,
yeah.
or the finale, and I was like, nope, week 4. Week 4 gets me to week 8. Right? So the way that season worked, they had, they had switch up weeks. They had a bunch of things going on that I knew that if I killed it that week, it got me to week 8. So there was a strategy in all of it. And what was always interesting was because I know myself very well, I was able to teach Whitney how to teach me. Right? She's an incredible teacher, right? But everybody teaches differently, and everybody learns differently. I know that I'm visual, right? So I was like, hey, don't tell me the move, just stand in front of me and show me the move.
Yeah.
Right? And that was really evident when I threw my back out in the semifinals, where I couldn't even start dancing until Saturday for a Monday live show, right? Because I was like in too much pain to do it. But all I needed to do was stand there and watch, and I could learn the routine without actually physically doing it. So it was like things like that were incredible in that season, to become part of the family, become part of this whole crew, and then go out on tour with all of the pros. It was an incredible year in my life that changed my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about how things go from there, because you had done a little bit of hosting, previously,
yes.
but you get this call to fill in for Tom Bergeron, and that gets the ball rolling in so many ways. What was your reaction to that, especially looking back on it now?
Well, there's a lot of great stories that are connected to that. One is Tom was the person who went to ABC and Vindabona Productions and said, I think Alfonso should be the one to take my spot. Because he was leaving.
Yeah.
So he had already announced that he was leaving, and he said to me, at the finale, I think it'd be great taking over for me on AFE. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And so I went in and met with ABC, and they wanted to figure out what I might want to do. And there was a poster of Tom on the wall, and I said, I want to do that. That's what I want to do.
Wow.
And they were like, well, that's what we wanted, you to do also, but we still got to go through the normal, path to doing this, which was do a full, screen test and have other people screen tested, and it obviously turned out to be mine. But it was a great opportunity. It has changed my life again, right? And it's crazy to think that I'm on season 11, right, on that show.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier. I mean, it's my forever job. I keep saying, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to have to get me out of here. I'm not leaving.
There's going to be videos of like robots getting kicked in the nuts, and you're still going to be covering
I'm good.
it. Like, season 134.
And we'll still be laughing.
Exactly. So then, obviously, that comes, a considerable amount of years before you end up getting the call. And you popped up a couple other times on Dancing with the Stars. You had started up as a guest judge. You came in during another one of these switch-up weeks. Then you get the call to step into this MC role alongside Tyra. What was sort of the story behind that?
So I mean, the honest truth is that I met with them, and I said, listen, I would just want to throw my name in the hat. That if you're ever thinking about, making any changes, adding to the host roles, I would love for you to know that I would love to be part of that. And then it happened. It happened. I think there was a lot of things that worked in my favor.
Yeah.
One being that I obviously knew everybody. I knew the cast. I knew all the dancers. I knew crew, producers. I didn't know Conrad Green, who was coming back to the show. Also, because the show went from ABC to Disney Plus and Hulu,
right.
what happened was the show couldn't have been done with one host anymore. Because of it being live throughout, they couldn't have one person do it because commercial breaks allowed for resets. That couldn't happen because there were no commercial breaks. So they had to have somebody in that role. And it just so happened that, it's kind of like a switch of positions, right? There was Tom, male down on the floor, and you had a female typically up in the skybox. And so because it was Tyra down on the floor, it was right to have a male up in the skybox. And in their mind, who better, right? And I felt like it was the greatest opportunity. I loved the season. I loved being up there. I found a joy that I didn't even know was possible in the skybox, connecting with all of the celebrities and dancers and having fun. It was like playtime, literally up there, right? And then the next season, obviously, Tyra and the show parted ways. And they called me and said, we'd like for you to take over the on-the-floor hosting duties, and we're bringing Julianne. And I was like, this is absolutely made in heaven. I think it's going to be magical. And I'd known Julianne, obviously, from the show. And, we started hanging out. And there's a connection there that just works. It's just easy. We trust each other. We know we've got each other's back. I mean, we've gotten to the point now where it just is like, if anything happens, we can just jump in and take care of the other, right? Like there have been times where I've accidentally read one of her lines and realized that I was reading her line, and it was like, and then I just let her read my line, right? So that would stay even and stay in the flow of going back and forth, and it's just she's so fantastic. She knows the show, she knows the technique, she knows she's done so many different roles on the show. I mean, same as I, just not in an extended period. Like the fact that she was a judge for several seasons, the fact that she was a pro dancer, and now coming in and being a host. We both have such a great understanding of the show that it adds an extra element to what the show can be every Tuesday night. And every once in a while they throw us on the dance floor.
So what's so unique about your position is, when it comes to reality shows, there have been a couple instances where an alum gets to host. And in some cases, it is being able to have this firsthand experience to communicate to the contestants. Sometimes it's a little bit more at a distance. What is your relationship like with the celebs typically every season?
So I do something that I felt was important for me. I'm only supposed to be there on Tuesdays, right? And the rest of the week is I'm not on set. I actually go in on Mondays. Don't have to, but I do anyway. Because of the fact that I want to sit there and I want to watch the celebrities go through their rehearsals on stage, right? And there's many reasons for that. One of them is to really get to know them, right? When I'm standing, in the host position and they've finished their routine and they come to me, this has got to be a place that they come that's comfortable, right? Where they feel they feel they've got trust in me. They feel warmth. They feel protected. And I think the only way you get there was spending time with people, right? Showing them that you care about their journey and their path on the show. And I sometimes give performance tips. I might give critique. I might help them emotionally if they're going through something. Sometimes the pros will actually come to me and say, I'm not getting through. Can you help me with this? Because you can speak of it from your perspective.
Right.
And I try to give them that perspective as often as possible behind the scenes, right? I want to become friends with every one of them. I want them to feel like this is an incredible journey. The blessing that I got out of doing this show is the fact that I was able to do this, for a season and go all the way to the end, and lucky enough to win the Mirror Ball. But I got the most out of it. I experienced everything that you can experience. And I want every one of those contestants to experience all the joy that they can out of being on this show. Because I know how special it really is. And I always feel bad for the ones who go home early because they don't get, there's a period of time before you really get into the flow and understanding it and the joy that it can bring. And I want them to be there. So I really create camaraderie on that floor before they ever dance in front of the cameras. And I feel like it's super important. Like tonight, I'll meet everybody.
Yeah.
There's a little group thing that we do, and get to know and really share moments and share what I can, give them and what I can help. And I always say to them, if there's ever a question, you pick up the phone and you call me.
Wow.
You call me and I'm there for you. Allison Hannigan would call me at times and be like, hey, I'm going through this, and we would talk and I would help her and I would say, this is what's going on. And now we have a show that possibly might come out called AFP, but that's a whole different thing. But you share these moments with them and they know that they can trust in you, even their fears. And even if it's I can't talk to my partner. It's hey, let me help you understand how you can talk to your partner, how you can make your journey the greatest journey possible.
That's so interesting because I feel like you're then, listen, you're wearing a lot of hats, wearing a lot of dancing shoes, but it's this internally and externally facing role where externally you are still co-host of Dancing with the Stars, presenting live to millions of people.
Right.
But internally, as these people are most likely freaking out, undergoing some of the most nerve-wracking things in their careers, let alone their lives.
Yes.
This is someone that has done it before and someone that they know they can talk to during those anxiety-filled moments. So it kind of satisfies both sides of the dance floor in a manner of speaking.
Absolutely, and it's such a pleasure for me to be able to do that, right? To be able to give somebody else what I might have learned or got to know through my own journey, right? And a lot of it from even before that, right? I remember on my actual season, before we actually came down the stairs on the first episode, I said to everyone who was on my side of the stage, I said, I'm gonna give y'all one hint because I know this show inside and out. Do not look at the packages before your routine. Don't look at it, don't listen to it, none of it. Some of it's going to be positive, some of it's going to be negative.
Right.
And some of it's going to be, you didn't like the way that came off, right? Don't look at it. Go into your routine clean of all of that. Week 2 or 3, Sadie Robertson turned to me and she said, I should have listened to you. I don't know why I didn't listen to you. She was like, I looked at my package and I couldn't even remember the first 8 steps. And I was like, I told you, don't listen, don't look at it. But those are little things that you're able to dive in and really help them try to, figure out their path. I've always said Dancing with the Stars is a reality show in the form of a dance competition. And the dance competition is probably 30% of how someone wins. I think the other 70% is how do you present yourself?
Yeah.
How do you make the audience feel? What do you bring to the table before you even got there, right? Your experience, your journey, your openness, right? You fall in love with people and you don't even know why. Right? Barry Williams a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
People fell in love with him and had no idea, but he'd come on and his lightness and his joy and his happiness to just be there created an energy that you felt at home, but it wasn't based on his dancing, it was based purely on what he made you feel. And those people stay around a lot longer than someone who is dead in the eyes, don't give you anything, don't open up to the audience, nothing. We'll leave that one there. And people don't like it.
Yeah.
Right? They want to see the joy that you have of being on this show. I've heard so many fans say, I wish there was a, Dancing with the Fans. Right?
Ooh.
Where you get the pros and it's a show of regular people in the world who want to love to dance and they want to come on and do the show and they find it to be so amazing. And it's every person who is sitting at home feeling that is angry at someone who doesn't seem like they want to be there. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you show them that you want to be there, you show them how much joy and pain and struggle, and you let them in, America loves you for it.
I'm curious, you mentioned Sadie. Are there still people you keep up with from
Sadie being one.
Really?
Yeah. From my season, it was we were there together at the end. We came back, I don't know if you remember, but we came back the next season and did a dance together.
Yes,
right?
I remember that now, yeah.
And she would come, she'd stay at my house, right? And we would rehearse, and then we came and did that. During the season, we would have movie nights at my house, right? Because a lot of people came from different different parts of the country.
Yeah.
So they were in an apartment, right, in West Hollywood. And it's like, no. Come to the house. My wife and I will make dinner. We'll watch movies. We'll hang out. That's the part that, to me, is just so special. And so Sadie is one. I mean, through the years, obviously, everyone I see here and there.
Yeah, you're that Rolling Stone that's just accumulating all these moss of all these players.
Yeah. And like, Joey Graziadei from last season. We go out and play golf. And so it's just, like I said, Allison. I see Charlie D'Amelio and the D'Amelios every once in a while. It's a family.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful family, and we all enjoy each other. Robert Hershevek. And so there are many people that come to mind that ultimately we still get to spend a lot of time together.
Well, you talk about family.
Yes.
Let's talk about it in the literal variety.
Okay.
In the life that is your dance routine, let's talk about the first steps.
Okay.
So, I mean, when it comes to things like the Tap Dance Kid, your debut on Broadway, your family, had a history of dance. Your grandfather worked in Calypso. Your grandmother was a dancer on Laugh-In.
Yes.
Was this something you always wanted to do? Was it just sort of like always in your household at all times?
Well, my aunt was actually on Laugh-In.
Sorry,
but the in our house it was more just enjoy how music and how life makes you move, right? It wasn't a structured anything, right? They taught me to tap dance for Tap Dance Kid. I was never in tap class, right? So I got it by going in and just dancing, right? Like my other aunt basically like choreographed something for me and I went in and danced, right? But it was the acting and singing that got me the role, and then they taught me to tap dance for a year, right? So it was kinds of these types of things where it was in the house, it was in the blood, it just wasn't nurtured specifically. It wasn't like we were trying to do it. It just kind of worked that way. And sometimes that's the best way, where you're just enjoying it, you're just doing it, you're not really overthinking it, you're just enjoying every part of it.
I'm curious, would you ever want to see a return to Broadway? Be it again, if we find a break somehow in your schedule, would you ever want to make your way back to the Great White Way?
It would be several years from now. I feel like, there's two things that ultimately for me are very important. And that is, I want to be 100% locked in when I'm working. I want to be able to do it. I want to give my all. I don't want to be half and half, right? And family. My kids, I kind of missed being there for my oldest child, and now I have my three younger ones, and I don't want to miss it, right? So when I'm off, I'm off, right? I went to Europe this year. My team, my management literally had they were instructed, no one reaches out to me.
No contact.
During my trip, so that I have a full vacation, so that when I come back, I'm rocking and ready to go. And I feel like that's important. So, the problem is where in my life would Broadway fit in, and how would that disrupt my children's lives? One, we'd have to be here in New York, and we don't live here. And so, uprooting the entire family to come live in New York during a time when, this is, they play sports, very much involved in all of that. My little girl, she's a gymnast, and dance classes and singing classes and piano, and I want to be part of that. And I would wait for them to be at that age where they're like, Daddy, whatever, get out of here. I'll go to New York and do a Broadway play.
Yeah.
Then it'd be fun.
In my research, I discovered something rather interesting.
Okay.
So you did a Pepsi commercial with Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Did you know that there was an urban legend that you had died on that shoot?
Yes.
When did you
Wasn't
find
on the shoot. Clearly didn't happen. But the rumor was that I had broken my neck breakdancing.
Yes.
And so I'm doing Tap Dance Kid here on Broadway, and it was either a Saturday or Wednesday where I came in for the matinee and then went to dinner and then going back to the theater. And as I was going back to the theater, somebody stops me on the street and grabs me, and I'm with one of the dance captains. And it's like, what are you doing alive? You're supposed to be dead.
What a way to greet someone. What are you doing alive?
Now imagine, you're like, holy cow, what is this person doing? They're out of their minds. What's going on here? And, frightened beyond belief, right? Really shaken up by that. What are you talking about? And so we started to do the research, and it's a different time.
Right.
Where like now it's like you go on the internet, you could debunk it in 2 seconds. We found out that there was a teacher in Alabama, right, who didn't want the kids in her class breakdancing.
Okay.
And said, you know that kid in the Pepsi commercial? He broke his neck doing a head spin. You guys have to stop this nonsense. One of the kids' father owned the television station in their small town, and you know how news wants to be first. Even back then, they went and reported it.
Oh my God.
And now every other television station started reporting it. It spread like wildfire to the point where I finally had to come out like, I'm not dead. I'm right here. Interestingly, there was a kid who broke his neck. It just wasn't me. It was the kid in the Breaking movies.
Oh, okay.
And he broke his neck, but he's fine, and like he didn't die and nothing. He just broke his neck, and so it was like, yeah, it was that kid. I was like, no, it was the other black kid that had really long curly hair. That's a whole other story. But yeah, that was the rumor. And it was crazy, and it was wild that I had to actually debunk the rumor.
Well, that is sort of like your first, albeit very unconventional experience with sort of celebrity culture.
Yes.
And things move at, for lack of a better term, a breakneck pace moving
Yes.
forward. Silver spoons. Let's talk about this, because I mean, you talk about, you know, making sure that your children's lives live in a place of stability. You work on Silver Spoons at what, 13?
I was 12 when I got there, but I turned 13 rather quickly. Yes.
Talk to me about that transition. I'm moving to an entire other side of the country, getting involved in such a, you know, tumultuous industry. What was that experience like?
You know, I loved it. TV felt like vacation compared to Broadway, right? Especially for a kid. Most people don't realize the schedule that you have to take as a child on Broadway, because everyone else is off all day while we still go to school. So our day is from 8 till 1 a.m., right? And then you still got to go to school the next day.
Yeah.
And then when like Broadway is dark on Monday, you're still going to school, right? When school is off on Saturday and Sunday, I got 3 shows. So it was really difficult. Moved to California, doing Silver Spoons, sunshine, beautiful, amazing. Other kids to play with, right?
Yeah.
Other kids, Ricky Schroeder and Corky Pigeon was on the show, and so we hung out all the time, and it was a really cool thing because it was the year of the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles in '84. The entire entertainment part of the industry shut down because all the crews need to go work the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
So we came and did 3 weeks, and then shut down for a month, and then came back. During that month, all I did was be a kid.
Yeah.
Ricky and I would go to the beach, and we'd go jet skiing, and we'd go water skiing, and we'd go all over, and like we became really good friends, and I got to actually enjoy California at its greatest, and I got to be a kid. So it was an incredible journey to start that, and then from there, obviously, I did 3 seasons on the show, but it was pure joy at the start of that. Didn't end with pure joy, but it started with pure joy.
So then how did that influence sort of like, you know, obviously Fresh Prince comes next, and this is, you know, a character that you get to conceive from the ground up, starting with season 1.
Right.
And there's obviously a lot of talk, we'll get into the Carlton Dance of it all, but did you have a specific process that you used when you approached that thing?
I wouldn't say a process other than I was the only one on the show that had done sitcom work, right? So I had the schedule down. I knew how it works. I knew, you know, what you needed to do. One of the things, and I know Will mentioned something about this a little while back, but one of the things that I knew from the very beginning was how important the run-throughs were, right? If you deliver a joke during the run-through, the best you can deliver it, and it bombs, it's out of the script.
Yep.
If you don't deliver it the best that you can deliver it, and they feel you didn't deliver it the best that you can deliver it, it stays in the script. Still a bad joke.
Yeah.
Right? So part of why my character was third or fourth on the call sheet, right? Like I was fourth on the call sheet.
Yeah.
But I ended up being number 2, right? Because why? Because all of my stuff ended up becoming better.
Yes.
Every week, right? It was like, oh, we can rely on him. If we write a good joke, he's going to deliver the joke. We're going to know whether it works. And if it doesn't work, we're going to give him another joke because we're going to know whether it works.
Yeah.
And you keep delivering, and all of a sudden, the writers trust you, the producers trust you, the other cast members trust you. And so right from the beginning, I was like, guys, everything, give it your all.
Yeah.
And if you deliver on the days that are not on camera, the days when you're on camera will be better.
Yeah, I mean, that's where has been, I think, a common occurrence through your life. I mean, starting your career in live performance, like,
Yes.
you know the energy you give is equated to the energy that you'll take.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're able to show that through the advice you give to dancers of this idea of like, listen, if you're half-assing it, they're gonna half-ass it right back to you.
They know it. The world knows it, and the people working with you know it.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things, and this was where I was able to lead Will while still letting him lead, was this is how we do this.
Yeah.
This is 100%. Give it your 100%. And when the lead gives it 100%, you've got no reason to ever give less than 100%. And that's what he did. And he learned it very early. I'll take credit for it. But, you know, and James Avery, you know, both of us really gave him that. And Janet Huber-Witten, right?
Yeah.
You know, a theater pro, that we all came in and gave him this real lesson in this is how you do it. This is how you'll be successful, respected. People will respect you. They come on, they see how you're working. If you're working hard, they'll work hard, right? And I think that's part of the success of the show.
Yeah, so then from that perspective, when you watch Will go on to see, you know, these incredibly successful things, an Oscar-winning performance, are you sort of like the proud brother from the sidelines?
Absolutely.
Being like,
super proud of him.
Look what I was able to get him to do?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I take very little credit in that because he is an MIT, right? He went to MIT I don't think he graduated there, but he went to MIT. He's an incredibly smart man who understands what he's doing, and he has his goals, and he's achieved them. And he's worked incredibly hard to achieve all of his goals, becoming at one point the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, but yes, always proud of what he's been able to do. He's a brother, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you view it as that's family, and I couldn't be more happy for all that he has created. Obviously, you know, people go through hard times and things, you know, whether it be personally or career, and you're just there for them.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be the rock that at any point they can pick up the phone, call you, and you're going to answer, and you're going to be there, and if they need something, you got them. And that's what I've always been for Will, and that's what Will's always been for me.
Of course, I'd be remiss not to talk about the Carlton Dance of
Yes.
it all. And you've told the story many times about, you know, the origins behind it. I'm curious, though, obviously, again, you're able to spin one line in the script into something big.
Right.
It just said Carlton Dances in the
Yes,
script, right?
right.
Was even It's Not Unusual in the script, or was that a choice you made?
No, I didn't make that. It was Carlton Dances, and then it was like, what is it going to be? What is the song? And so together with them and myself, we all created what that was going to be. Obviously, I had already had ideas because I'd messed around, playing around before that, doing that dance. And then I was like, how about this? And they're like, that's it. And then the song, oh, that's even better. But it came to play because I think when you're at the beginning of creating a character, there are many people that are working on that creation, right? Originally, it's obviously the original writer, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, the writer writes the scene, but the life has to be created by the actor, and it's supported by the writers and production. And in this specific case, it was me creating the different things in the different ways that this character would react and the way he would do things. And what I felt was important was, at the time especially, in the early 90s, it was like you were either super corny or you were super cool, right? And there was nothing in between.
Right.
And I said, wait a minute. I was the cool kid on Silver Spoons. I was the cool kid on a lot of the things that I've done before that. Now all of a sudden I'm the nerdy, dorky guy. Okay. But why does the nerdy, dorky guy need not be cool another way?
Exactly. Like, he clearly thinks he's cool in specific ways.
No question, right? And what can those ways be? Well, you can do a corny dance, but still be a good dancer. Right? You can sing corny songs, but still be a good singer. Right? He wasn't a good athlete. But you could do those things in a way that impressed people while it still remained true to the character.
Yeah.
And it's like people start to equate dorky with bad. And I go, why? Why is the dorky kid not a good athlete? That's not true.
Yeah.
Just because they're dorky doesn't mean that they don't have physical skills, right?
Yeah.
Just because they're dorky, does that mean that they don't have rhythm?
Yeah.
You see people play that, and I went, that's not what I want to play. I want to play this three-dimensional character that has so many different things. And I also felt what was very important on that show, and I feel like they missed it in the Bel Air show, is we had to stand toe-to-toe, being Will and I. We had to be able to stand toe-to-toe, look across at each other, and not feel inferior to the other in any way. It's the only way a rivalry ever works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't have a rivalry if one team always beats the other team. It's not a rivalry.
It's just punching down.
Right. So you have to have two equals going against each other.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that when the world sees the cool
Yeah.
and not the smart?
Yeah.
Right? But if you create the smart, I know, and if we all look back at the greatest people in, let's say, money, in history, they were all dorky kids that had great ideas and were really smart and changed the world. Now, if that is your blueprint moving forward, if you are a dorky smart kid that gets straight A's with ease, you look at someone who's on the quarterback on the football team and you go, you're a joke.
Yeah.
You don't even realize that your life is going to suck after you stop playing. You're going to be nothing. That's when I'm going to be. And if you come to that person with that confidence, that almost arrogance, right? Because you're being shown the other side all the time, you sit there and you say, hold up, you're no better than me.
Yeah.
You're just cooler than me today. These people that don't know any better think you're cool because they're not that. But guess what? All of those will one day admire me. I will be on the top, looking down amongst, and I will be the guy.
Yeah, the meek shall inherit.
And so that dynamic, to me, is what made The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air a great show. Right? There was obviously all the family aspects and Uncle Phil, and there were a lot of that also. But in terms of what elevated it was you can be two completely different types of people, type of person, and you can be equal.
Did you ever imagine what Carlton's future would have been like after, the events of The Fresh Prince? Would he become one of these like Silicon Valley tech billionaires?
I mean, well, he was more going into law in that direction, so he wouldn't have been Silicon Valley type rich, but he was going to be a judge, or he was going to be, he was going to be successful.
Yeah.
In the real successful way, right? Not, a guy comes up with an invention and, oh my God, I'm worth $300 billion. Right. Right? Like that wasn't, but he was going to be a pillar of society.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt like that's what he would have been. And he might have lucked out on something and invested in something that blew up and that kind of thing. But he was going to be his dad. Right? He was going to be a guy who was going to make an awful lot of money doing what he does at the best, amongst the best in the world. That's what he was going to be.
You briefly mentioned the Bel Air show before, so I imagine you had watched it. Did you get reached out to it all?
I actually haven't watched it.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, did you get reached out to it all from the actor who played Carlton?
Well, I mean, I've met him. I've met him several times. An incredible young man.
Yeah.
Proud of what he's been able to do with the role that he was given. I always kind of say, it's not Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? It's a completely different show. It's a completely different take. And so I unfortunately was not wanting to do that and be part of that in any way. I felt, it was important for me where I was at in my career to move on completely from that existence.
Yeah.
And showcase what I'm doing today, which has worked.
Well, from that perspective, obviously, again, hosting has worked out smashingly for you, to say the least. Do you ever want to return to acting? Because I know you've done some directing. Obviously, you've touted a lot in interviews how you get excited for these opportunities because you get to be yourself.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about trying to be someone else, going back to that, those roles?
I would definitely think about it. I would never say no to anything. It's not a passion of mine today to do it. Mostly because of, I've worked so hard to break that character.
Yeah.
Not that I've broken it fully, but to break it, to be me, that to go back to being someone else, the dangers in it, and I think the bigger part of it is the emotional, internal issues that I would have. The idea that I did a role so well that I was no longer allowed to be, quote unquote, an actor, acting many different roles.
Right.
To be pigeonholed in something that was amazing, and I had a great career, and it was great in doing that. That brings up a lot of, let's say, open wounds.
Yeah.
So why do it?
Totally.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not saying I wouldn't. It would have to be something that's a one-off. It would have to be something that is so different that I could really sink my teeth into to do. But, I'm not viewed that way in the business. And I saw something with Dwayne Johnson the other day, The Rock, talking about how, he was pigeonholed into what he was supposed to do, and it's worked incredibly great for him. But, the industry sometimes says that's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be told what I'm supposed to be. I want to be able to control what I am and be able to display who and what I am to the world without the industry deciding for me what that looks like.
From that perspective, you've done I'm a Celebrity, you've done, I think it was like duets before. Would you ever want to do reality TV as a contestant? Obviously, there's a lot of talks about things like The Traitors, which has seen its fair share of DWTS and alum on it.
I think that once again, there's a part of this where when you're in this role, stay in this role versus going into the other role, right? Like, one of the things for me is I would never want to do a full dance number on the show.
Interesting.
Right? On dancing. Because at the end of the day, I'm hosting this.
Yeah.
That's for them to do. Right? It's not for me to do. It's for them. Let them do that. Let them have all the glory and the joy of that. I can go dance in a studio wherever I want. I don't need the world to see it to enjoy dancing. Right? So it's never about what I can get praised for by the general public. It's, I want to do this for me, and I believe it's important to stay in the roles that you're there to do, right? So lift them up. So being a contestant on another show is no, I'd want to be the host of the show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a contestant. So,
is there anything that you haven't had the chance to host yet that you would love to? Pie in the sky all the time in the world.
I mean, not really. I know there's major award shows and things of that nature. It's, I've always felt like those are better suited for stand-up comedians, right? Who get up and tell jokes, and I can do it, but I don't think that's necessarily my greatest tool. I think my greatest tool is warmth and connection, and a deep understanding of the material. And so an award show doesn't really give you that. So that would be really in terms of, I've done game shows, I've done, obviously a comedy show in AFV, I've done now Dancing with the Stars, I've done musicality shows, Your Big Break, I've done, Spelman, I've done so many different things as a host that I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be and exactly where I want to be.
Well, you talk about uplifting others. I want to talk about your family.
Okay.
Because your eldest is getting into the industry,
Yes,
you know?
she is.
She's
Yes,
got some
she
credits
is.
to her name. So how do you sort of approach that from your own relationships perspective? You know, because I would imagine that you want to give her some advice based on the fact that you have been working in the industry
Right.
at such a young age. At the same time, you know, baby bird's got to fly out of the nest.
Absolutely, and I think you literally asked that question the best way possible, which is, I obviously am there for her, right? But we had a conversation maybe about 6 months ago, and she had gotten a role and she'd gotten something, and I said to her, I'm incredibly proud of you
Yeah.
because you did that by yourself, right? The hardest thing I think for children of people in the business is the nepotism reality,
Right.
right? Where does that person, is it more important for them to be successful, or is it more important for them to feel validated in their success? For me, the second one is more important than the first one, right? Still want her to be successful, and I will be there to help her in any way that she asks me. But I want it to be her journey, right? Not one point in my life do I feel like someone gave me anything.
Yeah.
I've earned everything that I've done in my career. And that's a pride that cannot be given by anybody else. That is earned inside yourself. So I want her to have that, right? I will be there if she needs. When she calls and she asks for advice, give her all of those things. But I really, truly want her to say when she is going, and she is going to be successful, I did this.
Yeah.
I did this, and I did it without Dad giving me this or setting me up, or I've had her meet people and that kind of thing, but I'm like, this is going to be on you to do, and I think she's proud of where she's gotten to at this point, because she knows it's valid that she's there because of what she's doing.
You mentioned this briefly before, but again, I'll keep saying, hosting 2 shows, getting to do all these appearances, it's a lot, specifically for, a family that you are raising with love. Is it as simple as that compartmentalization that you mentioned before of like, all right, I've got my on time and my off time. How do you manage this workload?
So I say to the family all the time, I'm like, hey, just want you to let you know, September through December, I come home every night, but I'm not here. Okay?
Yeah.
My brain is elsewhere. I'm working. I'm always working. I will be as present as I can be. From January through August, I'm with you,
Yeah.
right? Now, even though AFV shoots into March, it's not like AFV dancing, and I also do another daytime ABC show, Jack Hanna's Passport.
Yes.
Right? So between the 3 of them, we shoot from end of August to December, right? My brain is scrambled, so I'm not at home as much. On the weekends, when my boys have sports and games and stuff, I'll be there, right? I'm as in it as I can be. But I have to completely separate, because I believe it's important for me, for my own reality, which is I want to be 100% where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I want to be present. So at least they know that, hey, Daddy's home, but Daddy's not present because
Yeah.
Daddy is thinking about work. And this is the time you let me go to work. This pays for our lives.
Yeah.
So then we'll come back and now we'll get to enjoy it all together.
Exactly.
Right? But this is what pays for our lives. So I've got to be 100%. And that's what I'm in that phase right now, where like literally coming here to New York, I don't think I've gone out of town. I went out of town in May for upfronts here for like a day, right? But since then, every day we've been together,
Yeah.
right? Before I got on a plane yesterday. And so they were like, you're leaving? Like they had to process it. And it's like, yeah, this is the beginning of that phase again.
Back to
And they're
school
like,
season.
Okay, we get it, right? And they understand it. I'm still there. I'm still, trying, but I'm not the same dad that I am from January through August.
Your family has influenced you so much, including your diet. I know that you have said, that due to your children's medical issues, it caused you to sort of pursue this non-toxic diet. Talk to me a bit more about that.
Well, it's ultimately it's non-inflammatory, right? And unfortunately, in this country specifically, GMOs and fake food, as we like to call it. And sometimes food that we think is real is still fake. It's not good for the body.
Yeah.
Right? And once you've seen through your children the impact that can have on their lives and how it can change their lives greatly, you really pay attention a lot more. Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you could ever be 100%, because you can't be 100% living in America. There are products that are on our shelves here in the US that are illegal in Europe. Products that we use every day, right? I don't want no companies coming after me, so I won't say the names.
Don't at them.
Right? But like at the end of the day, eating healthy in America is expensive. And I feel like it's important, because I have young children at my age, that I get to be around as long as I can, to be part of that life with them, and get to spend as much time in their lives that Daddy didn't go away when they were young.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to try to do the best that I can to be around, and so eating healthy is kind of the easiest thing you can do to be around a long time, right? Taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your spirit, putting good nutrients into your body. And that's where I'm at right now, is trying to do the best that I can to be around as long as I can.
Let's finish the routine where we started, back to dancing for a second. Who is your dream celeb that you'd want to see on the show? It's impossible to have the dream celeb, right? There's so many A-listers that I think would be incredible. I've always said, it'd be great if Will was on the show, but let's keep it real. Will's not doing a television series. So there are very few people that I'd be like, oh my gosh. But I think there are definitely people that I think would be very interesting to do. I was hoping that someone like Jennifer Love Hewitt, who loves the show, would want to do the show, and maybe one day she will. I know she's working right now, so she has a show, and probably really hard for her. But there are a few of those actors and actresses like that I think would be pretty incredible to be on, without obviously saying anything, and knowing who this season's cast is. This is going to be a fun year. Yeah.
This is going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun season. There's a lot of great performers, dancers, personalities. Dina Katz and Conrad Green did an incredible job with ABC support of putting this cast together, especially after the massive success we had last season, and what an incredible cast that was. But I think that there's a possibility that this cast could be even better.
You talk about all these excellent casts. We haven't seen an all-star season in 20 plus seasons at this point. Do you feel like there should be a version of this, or do you think there's more appeal in seeing a new group of celebs every year?
I think I've asked that same question, because I for years was like, let's do an all-star season, because I wanted to come back. Right? And it was like, an all-star season. Here's the problem with an all-star season. It's 30% dance and 70% reality show.
Yeah.
The 70% reality show goes away when everybody can dance. So you don't get the journey.
Right.
You don't get the struggle. Everybody's just being really good.
Yeah.
Now, it's great to watch the dancing, and I bet social media would be incredible with watching the best of the best constantly go. But like American Idol in the beginning, when you had the bad singers, those ratings were sometimes higher than when they got to the live shows, because watching people go through the turmoil of becoming good is as enjoyable or more enjoyable than once they get good. So the journey of the performer on Dancing with the Stars is going from I don't know to I kinda now know.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, and I think that's why the All-Star season didn't work. It didn't continue because of the fact that it didn't have any storylines.
Yeah.
It didn't have any, wow, what are you going through this week? What new injuries? What new personal drama? What cracks in the shell? Right? Are we getting to witness? Are we getting to see? They've already done that, right? So that's the problem with an all-star season. And The producers and network explained it to me once, and I went, yeah, you're right. I guess I can't do an all-star season. That sucks. Because I wanted to come back. Look, at the end of the day, I'm a competitive guy.
Exactly.
So before I took on the hosting roles, I was like, hey, I'd love to see how I would stack up against some of these other winners. Right? Could my personality, give me a win over some of these other people that had great abilities, right? That were really talented. I mean, I don't claim to be the best winner at all on the show. There were people who were technically so much better than I was. I brought a personality with
There we go.
Right? Which one would win? And that was like kind of my thing of like wanting to do an all-star season. But that's the reason why.
There we go.
Unfortunately.
You are, of course, a consummate professional, especially in the world of live TV. But is there still like a core memory you have of some sort of mishap or incident that happened during a live show that just has lived with you for a while?
Well, there have been no one would know it, right? But we've had episodes where we were reading our teleprompter and it was literally all new because it was a rewrite during the show. So you're standing in front of America literally having no idea what's about to come out of your mouth because you're reading it for the first time live to America. Those moments are they're pretty memorable in your heart because there's nothing but fright that happens during it. You're like, I hope I don't say it. This is where like the experience really works well is we get much slower. We're not gonna miss a word. Slow this bad boy down and let it happen. Those moments are always, they're like I said, America doesn't get to see or know that it was happening.
Yeah.
But there have been, we've had an episode where they literally rewrote the entire, last act of the show.
Wow.
Where we're announcing who's staying and who's going and all of that. They've rewritten it in the entire act during the show.
Yeah.
And you're like, y'all gonna have to tell me why at some point. And they do, but like, it's a frightening moment in live television. But that's what makes it amazing.
Exactly. You mentioned Tyra before. Obviously, you two had, cross paths on Fresh Prince before. But what was it like, working with her, especially in the midst of, fans certainly having responses to her hosting?
Look, at the end of the day, like, I was friends with Tyra. I still am friends with Tyra. And I respect Tyra immensely. She's a wonderful person and performer. I think, unfortunately for Tyra, she came onto the show during COVID.
Yeah.
And not having the ability to connect with the celebrities and with the pros. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Right? It was always a two-person job. It became a one-woman show. So everything was on her to deliver everything when the show wasn't designed that way.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you break what the core of a show is, you set yourself up for failure. She didn't. The show did.
Yeah.
The show set her up for failure because there was no way for her to win. You're following Tom Bergeron, the best host in television.
Yeah.
Right? You're now, you don't have a co-partner. You don't have anyone to bounce off of. It's just you, right? Which makes it about just you.
Yeah.
Right?
Just by default.
Just by default. You can't have contact with the celebrities, with the pros. You're 6 feet from them doing an interview.
Yeah.
Right? Everything about her first 2 seasons was a setup for failure. So, not that it was failure, because the show still did well.
Right.
But I feel like for the audience, they didn't get to see what it felt like before.
Yeah.
Because the setup was completely different. And unfortunately, that executive producer wanted it that way.
Right.
So because of that, everything that makes Dancing with the Stars work
Yeah.
didn't exist for those seasons.
Yeah.
Right? The pros lost their last names. Right? So when you're no longer saying the last names of the pros, because the producers wanted her to do it that way, now the warmth is gone.
Yeah.
The respect is gone. Right? There were so many things that set her up for this not working. She had, like, and like I said, it's not that it didn't work, it didn't work as well as it had in the past.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? Because people fall in love with a show. When they start watching it, they're like, you don't really know why the audience loves the show. You just know that they love it.
Yeah.
My opinion, all the things that were done meant they didn't understand the audience.
Yeah.
They didn't understand why people watch the show. Everybody seems to think it's a dance competition. It's not a dance competition. It is a reality show wrapped in a dance competition.
Yeah.
And it became just a dance competition. There was no audience, there was no feeling, the ballroom was dead, right? Because there was no one allowed to be in it, right? There was no way for her to fully succeed and to thrive in that circumstance. It was impossible. It was an impossible situation for her. And it sucks because could she have been the long-term host of the show? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If it had been a different time.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, like that's, I think, really sound logic. I mean, the last thing I want to ask is you're someone who has followed this from the beginning and has been so grateful to become a part of it in so many different ways. I mean, we just celebrated 20 years of this show. And it's so interesting because I'm someone who's followed from the beginning as well. And it's so wild to watch. I wouldn't say a resurgence of popularity, but sort of like a different wave of popularity.
Absolutely.
You know? Where you mentioned it before, you credit Charli D'Amelio for it partially. It feels like now it truly has been, and you are part and parcel included in this, of this idea of this can be a life-changing experience for you and a career-changing experience. So how do you look back on this milestone, both your involvement for it and what Dancing with the Stars can do for so many people and celebrities alike?
Well, let's be real. There are a lot of careers that came back or was introduced to the world that did not that wasn't there before they got on Dancing with the Stars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mario Lopez, Dancing with the Stars, right? Nicole Scherzinger, right? Yes, it was Pussycat Dolls, but this opened up a whole new world for her. There's so many, I mean, countless others, right? Where this is an opportunity. I think that looking back on this show for the last 20 years, it's had a place in people's hearts. And the people who love this show going all the way back, the grandmas and grandpas now, right? What they love about this show is what we're trying to bring today. A ballroom competition, class, elegance, connection, heart, all of that is being delivered. And I think that the greatest thing the show ever did was bring Conrad Green back. Because Conrad understands the show. He understands the importance of the show. He understands why the audience connects to the show. And that is what we're striving to do. I'll never be Tom Bergeron. I do my version of it. But my utter respect and ultimate respect for Tom and what he did for 28 seasons on that show, none of this exists after him if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
So over this course of this season, it's all about respecting, remembering, and honoring all that was before us. All the pros, all of the hosts, contestants, honoring all of them, because the show doesn't get here without them. And I don't get to do my dream job if all of that wasn't before me.
The sense I've got from our, very generous chat is that for you, it's all about giving 100%. It's doing all out in front of the mirror. Nowhere is that more so reflected than what we've had the chance to talk about today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For, just opening up about everything. Like you've said, you've led an incredibly storied life, and I'm so happy you opened up the storybook and let us take a look into it.
Thank you.
It is, I greatly appreciate this chat.